Hello, nerds. It's the gang from World Class Nerd back again for the first time in what seems like an eternity. Joining me, Paul Davis with the child.
Baby Grogu is in the house.
Yoda.
Danny Wade. And Heather Lamb joining us again. Now, for Danny and Paul and I, we've been doing the Tales from the Long Box podcast. So, we've been getting together to hang out for a while, but this is the first time for Heather to be back with the crew. So,
yay!
Yay!
All right. So once
I
again,
was very excited to hear Heather's voice. And when Danny came on, she run for the hills. So there you go.
Well, I get that reaction a lot.
Yeah.
All right. So we're back, and we're gonna kick things off with we'll call this episode "The Return of the Fandalorians," and we're gonna talk about Mandalorian season 2. Obviously, that's in the rearview mirror. We missed the whole season, but still fresh enough that I think we need to talk about it. So we'll start with the first episode of the season was called The Marshal, and introduced all of us to Cobb Vanth, a sheriff on Tatooine. That was an outstanding episode. Gave us the crate dragon, not just bones in the sand, but the actual crate dragon. Boba Fett's armor. Wow, what do you need in that episode?
And Tusken Raiders, a look into their society, which was not just an evil group of people out to kill, rape, and pillage the settlers of Tatooine. You get to see a very cowboy and Indians approach to their society, and they're the Indians. I loved it. Tusken Raiders are some of my favorite characters ever in the Star Wars universe.
That puts it about as perfectly as you can describe how they depicted the Tusken Raiders in that episode, as kind of a cowboys and Indians kind of thing. That's very appropriate.
Lots of sand.
I hate sand.
Yeah.
I hate sand.
Danny, what do you think of the first episode?
Well, once again, even after the first season, kicking right off the first episode, it shows that Star Wars can make a TV show.
I'm not so sure they can make a movie anymore, but yeah, they can make it.
Right. Well, who knows about that?
They didn't make any more movies, and they just did TV shows of this caliber. I'd be okay right now.
Yeah.
It's like we're watching the movie.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. All the things you mentioned there, the Tusken Raiders and all that. I mean, you do get to see the backstory a little bit of that, or at least their civilization. I'm loving it. Love it. It gets better and better with each season and episode.
Heather, any thoughts on?
I was excited. Well, it just had an Old West feel to it, kind of the Magnificent Seven without the seven, but you know, just had that guns drawn at noon. We have to work together to kill the ugly big bad and all that fun stuff. Ooh,
Right, so-
Kung Fu with the grasshopper guy. I can't think of his name right now.
Grasshopper?
Grasshopper. You would always say it was the Kung Fu Sunday you watched as a kid, but it was
Oh, wait.
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Take the devil from my hand, grasshopper.
Yes.
Yeah.
So into that episode, got a little foreshadowing when we saw Boba Fett lingering around in the desert, watching as his armor was taken away. I personally thought that was going to be it. I didn't know that they would do anything else with Boba Fett this season. I thought maybe later down the road, but what did I know?
If they'd left it as it is, I still would have been happy because
Oh,
that
yeah.
was obviously Boba Fett to me.
So happy he's in it. Yeah.
All right, so episode 2 was The Passenger, and it introduced us to the Frog Lady with her her container full of eggs, aka her children.
And just like the meme that going around social media, she looks like every guy's mom when they go 26 in a 25-mile-an-hour speed zone. Just awesome.
Paul's impression of the Frog Lady is worth the price of admission, folks.
Well, that look I've practiced because I've been showing my son how to drive. Yes, I've had that look.
Brake on the other side does not work, Paul.
No, there's a hole in my floorboard where I've been slamming it.
Oddly enough, it's like that when I drive and Bryan's sitting in the passenger seat.
If the passengers and drivers in the other cars on the road have their way, the brakes all work and they get out of the way. So nice little cameo in this episode was Dave Filoni as one of the X-Wing pilots.
No, I did catch that at first.
New Republic X-Wing pilots, they're chasing him, and crash lands on this ice planet thing with spiders from Rebels, which are even more heart attack inducing, horrifyingly frightening in live action than they were in
We know they're real now.
Yeah, that was horrible. That was great, but it was horrible for people who love spiders.
Horrible to get through.
What's more frightening, ice spiders or sand spiders?
It doesn't matter. Those things.
Spider family.
The environment doesn't matter. You could be in a peaceful meadow and those things show up and they're still horrifying.
Now, if they just had a man's body on it, like a drider.
That would be freaky.
Again, a spider. That's all it needs to be said.
So this episode brought us some controversy from the Mandalorian with the child eating the eggs. Some people got really bent out of shape over that on social media, and
Tastes like chicken.
What this told me is what I read somewhere on social media, that Yoda was probably an alpha level predator of Dagobah, and that all the creatures were very happy when he died because he was an invasive species that was destroying their ecosystem.
There's spiders there.
He went to Dagobah because there was so much meat.
Yeah.
Buffet.
Yeah, used to be spiders there. Now there's not. I wonder why.
There used to be frogs there, but now they're not.
Sure. A lot of things.
So
Actually, used to be frog people. They're gone.
they're gone. They're gone. That's where the frog people were from. Was that planet? Now there's just.
And if he has his way, those lizard people are gone too.
So the next episode, the Heiress, is what that one was called. Frog Lady, gets brought home to meet her husband, and some of the eggs manage to survive Grogu, and then we meet Bo-Katan.
No help from this little guy.
Barely.
We meet Bo-Katan and a couple of other Mandalorians, and that was again a pretty dramatic episode. Just because I love all things Clone Wars, I love all things Rebels, and to see any characters from those shows make it into the big screen, or any things from those shows make it into live action, that's really cool.
They got some of the best weapons and gadgets.
Yeah. Just seeing them on the screen, using jetpacks and all their stuff is really cool. What do you think, Heather? What do you think of the job that Katie Sackhoff did as Bo-Katan?
I loved it. I love that they brought her brought her into the live action because she voiced Bo-Katan in Clone Wars and Rebels. So the fact that they brought her in and let her reprise that character was, I thought, awesome.
Yeah, I thought she did great.
Oh yeah.
One of the few that have made the jump and actually got to play the character that they voiced. That doesn't happen too often. Foreshadowing, I guess, again for later in the season.
Yeah.
Episode 4, The Siege, where they went back to Navarro, and we get an update on Cara Dune and Grief Karga. I won't even address controversy around Cara Dune. That's just not something we're going to talk about on the show. This one was the one where they went to the Imperial base to take out the Imperial base, which was also a lab, and they found out a little bit about what they were doing with little Grogu, that they were experimenting on him and that they were using his blood. He's seen horrible things. Remember, he was there when Anakin came and slaughtered all the younglings. So
That's true.
You're not protecting him from anything. That was I thought that was a really awesome episode, packed with some action. The driving sequence alone was
That was
That was good.
yeah. I've got a
Now in that episode,
actors over here.
now in that episode, was that the one also where we got to see his face for the second time or first time when he pulled his helmet off?
That was the second time.
That was later on, right? That was the one right before the season finale when
That okay.
when we went with Mayfield.
Jump ahead.
yeah, with Mayfield, yeah.
Okay.
Let's just jump right into episode 5, The Jedi, where the opening sequence of that thing was just beautiful, right? A great use of the light and dark aspects. You know, those two white lightsabers just lighting up in the dark and in the mist, and just that was great.
Very good cinematography. Excellent.
Yeah. That whole episode had a very samurai kind of feel to it. Dave Filoni wrote and directed that one, and of course he did because he's not going to let anybody mess with Ahsoka. What are your thoughts from that episode? A lot of things stood out in that one. Paul, what do you think?
Well, the fact that she's still alive and that we know now through because this is canon, the show is canon. She is made it through the Clone Wars. She's made it through the original trilogy movie. She's made it through the classic, the Rebel years. So now we know what she's in the future timeline, basically. The Beskar spear that they show at the very end, that was interesting. I'd like to know kind of more about the warlord, the Shogun, basically, that they have to fight at the end. Where did the Beskar spear even come from? I mean, there's a lot of unanswered things there. They're not big things, but they're still unanswered. I would like to explore it a little more. And where has Ahsoka been? What has she been doing all this time? But
well, it's funny you mention that.
What's that?
She's been with the rebels. she's been helping find Ezra.
Well, we don't know. We don't know that because the little blip at the end of Rebels that shows her and Sabine in the future, that may be after this. She may not have gone yet to find Ezra. That may still be in the future from where she's been on the Mandalorian.
I think she's trying to track down leads.
Yeah. Because she brought up Thrawn in this episode, which is, again, that's a cool thing. That's first live action mention of Thrawn. I loved the duel between Ahsoka and what was her name? Her name was Elsbeth. Ahsoka and Elsbeth with the lightsaber versus the Beskar. spear. That was pretty
Oh,
cool.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I was just wondering how she was going to come across, how she was going to look, you know, and pulled it off perfect.
Looked great.
Yeah.
Still sad that it wasn't actually extinct.
Yeah.
But Rosario Dawson did a wonderful job. I kept having to remind myself it wasn't Ahsoka's voice coming out. So it kind of tripped me up a little bit, but I thought they did really well with everything, makeup, costuming, her movements.
Mhm.
So I thought that was pretty.
Yeah, I think we all would have loved for it to have been Ashley, but I think Ashley has a really youthful look, and I don't know that she would have been convincing as an older Ahsoka.
Ahsoka, yeah. Because at this point, Ahsoka's in her 40s, roughly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was a little controversy around the length of, as you can see them there, the length of the leku, I believe they're called, or at least that's what they're called with Hera's people. I'm not sure if that's what they're called for her people. Anyway, those were a little too short in everybody's opinion, but there was a practical explanation for why they did that. Those were physical props. That wasn't CGI. So for her to be able to do the things that she needed to do to make the movements that she needed to be able to make, they couldn't be the length that they were in the cartoon. So
I believe I was more concerned with how she was going to come off. Is she going to be a badass? Is she going to be somebody that's just kind of timid and kind of back in the background kind of thing? And who cares how long those were or how short they were?
yeah, right.
Fantastic character.
I understood where a lot of people were kind of getting a little bent about it, because when you look back to the Clone Wars episode with the brother and the sister and the father, when they went to that planet, they showed an older Ahsoka, and she was quite old at that. She still looked youthful, but she was mature. So her doohickeys were quite long. That's a technical term.
That is, I think, the actual term in the Star Wars encyclopedia.
But then again, in Rebels, they were longer. But I don't think they were quite as long as they were in that Clone Wars episode.
I think in that finale episode, when they show her in the future, I think they were. Were they that long?
They were very long. I don't know that long, but they're very long.
Might have to go back and watch that again.
She's gonna fact check me.
I'll fact check you.
Here's all I have to say. Hey, nerds, we have Ahsoka live action. Stop picking things apart. Come on.
Thank you.
You could not have Ahsoka, and you could have all the fantasy you want about how long her doohickeys are. Be happy. Shut up. Be happy.
There'll be another season.
Yeah.
Paul, do you have Grogu in like one of those little baby carrying pouches on your chest? Is that how that's going?
Actually, no. If you must know, he's sitting on my green blankie, which is sitting on my lap.
Okay, you lost some points. You were going to gain a lot of nerd cred if you had him actually like in one of those little carriers.
If I had one when my son was much younger, but we gave that away a long time ago.
You don't use it to carry Jill around every once in a while? Just
No, she kicks too much. She's an unruly little person. But she didn't hear me, did she?
You'd know if she did.
Yeah, I would know.
I'm not going to make it back next week.
This is Paul's farewell show, everybody. Let's all raise a glass to Paul.
Yep, I'm dead.
Moving along to episode 6, The Tragedy, which was a tragedy. A lot of really bad things happened in this episode. So, by the way, in that last episode with Ahsoka, there was a nice little interplay as she's having the duel with Elsbeth. He's having the duel with Lang, the kind of hired gun. who was played by Michael Bain, and it's always cool to see Michael Bain, who played Corporal Hicks in Aliens, get a bit more work. So the tragedy, Ahsoka sends them to Tython to put Baby Yoda, the child, Grogu. We know at that point his name is Grogu, and who was underwhelmed? Anybody underwhelmed over the name of Grogu?
Come on, man. I mean, you have the opportunity to name anything.
It doesn't even go.
It is a button and you get Grogu. Come on.
Had to do something. Everybody was calling him Baby Yoda.
Yeah, I know.
Yoda.
But,
No, it was so cute.
I mean, Grogu sounds like something that the cat yaks up on the carpet. Oh, gee. The Grogu. Ooh.
Yes, but wasn't it cute when he said he named Din Djarin Shiny Boba?
Shiny Boba.
Anything he does is cute, though. Just to be honest. Even eating the frog eggs, that was funny. And
Yeah, even genocide is funny when he does it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So goes to the Seeing Stone. Boba Fett himself, actual Boba Fett, shows up and does more damage to stormtroopers with a gaffy stick than I can even take account of.
A whole fleet of Tusken Raiders could do.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh yeah.
With him is Fennec Shand, the bounty hunter that we saw left for dead on Tatooine in season 1. That was pretty cool to see Fennec Shand back and to see them paired up as this kind of badass bounty hunting team is really cool.
and I guess that was Boba Fett back in season 1. We just didn't know it. That saved her.
Yes,
That's what they alluded to.
The boots that showed up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Dark Troopers, Paul. Dark Troopers.
Dark Troopers. Yes.
So
And I love it that they got rid of the only weakness, the human element.
yes. Dark Troopers were a really cool part of the sort of what's now considered Legends era of Star Wars, when they were doing things like Dark Empire and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
They were really pretty cool in that episode, and I don't know about anybody else, but I don't like the fact that the Razor Crest is gone.
No,
Yeah.
I'm thinking about the guys that spent like $200 on the Lego set for their Christmas, and right before Christmas, the Razor Crest is destroyed. So if they wanted, a show accurate Razor Crest, they might as well just open the box and dump it out and take a picture.
Okay, there it is.
Don't put it together.
They assembled it, and Mom come through, and she was tired of it laying in the living room, and she just crushed it.
Or better yet, I mentioned him several times. My son, we'd spend all day putting together something massive, Lego Star Wars is, and he would throw it once to make it fly, and 8 hours down the tube, done.
So you just
Yeah,
Mom doing that.
That's what we done with models back in the day. Except we put fireworks in them.
Fireworks.
I mean, aren't you supposed to do that?
Well, it's different when you have to pay. Well, you pay for it, and you're the one doing the main assembly. You got some time invested in that. Yeah? You got your little son going, here, this. I'm doing it. Back off.
And then you put him in the car, right? Lane drive.
All right, so it stunk that the Razor Crest got blown up, but it opened the door for lots of footage of Slave One, and there's nothing wrong with that either.
No, we're seeing Boba Fett. We're seeing action from Boba Fett. We always wanted, never got. We're seeing dialogue that we never got. We're seeing the inside of the Slave One that we never got. We're getting all this stuff from childhood that I personally wanted forever.
Yep.
But what about Robert Rodriguez doing the stunts, for Boba?
Well, yeah, Robert Rodriguez directed that episode, and that was a shock to me. I had no idea he was going to be doing it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I had no idea about that.
That's why it was so awesome when he had his little staff thing, and
Yeah.
I mean, it was just his very classic, his guitar case, basically.
Mm-hmm.
El Mariachi stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so Grogu is abducted by the Dark Troopers. Moff Gideon's got him. This looks pretty bleak, but Din Djarin quickly switches to let's go break out Migs Mayfield, and that led us to the episode 7, The Believer, with Migs Mayfield. That's the episode you're referencing, Danny, where we get another reveal of Din Djarin without the helmet.
Yes.
A big moment, and he does that. Migs Mayfield sees him, right? And
Oh yeah, can't take that back.
yeah. Kind of a redemption episode for Migs Mayfield. He goes from being a little bit of a punk to kind of, not such a bad guy by the end of that
I honestly
episode.
thought he was a throwaway character from season 1. I mean, I really didn't expect to ever see him again.
I think at this point, it would not be smart to assume that anybody is a throwaway character. Not even the guy from the first episode, right?
Right.
Yep. Just trying to mention him. But it was good, a good setup for when Dinger, I can't say it, Djarin, or when they were when he was talking with Bo-Katan about, and he had the helmet on, and she was like taking it off, and he was like, "Oh, you're not," and she was like, "Sorry, no, this 400 years here," and maybe it made him think a little bit of why do we keep?
Yeah. Who's the mainstream Mandalorian group? Who's the overall ruling group? Is it the one? Is it Bo-Katan's, or is it Din's? Is he a splinter group? Is he like a cult group?
She said he was a
he's Death Watch, right?
Death Watch, a child of Death Watch, and that was their creed.
Yeah.
So
Death Watch was in the minority, but at this point, who knows what's left of
Mandalorian?
Yeah.
All right, I want to definitely give some due time to this last episode, The Rescue. Look, if I'd gotten any one of the big special appearances in this season, I would have been happy, right? If I'd just gotten Boba Fett, I'd have been happy. If I'd just gotten Ahsoka Tano, I'd have been happy. I'd have probably been happy with just Bo-Katan. But this episode, when the single X-wing shows up.
I'm
telling you.
You're hoping at that point. You're hoping.
It's a single X-wing.
No.
Wait, it's a single X-wing.
I mean, I understand.
The funniest thing.
Watching him watch that slide on, first it was like, and then it, and then it was like,
maybe.
I wasn't alone though. My kids were both freaking out a little bit too. So
well, my wife and son were watching me, and Jill, she didn't quite get it. She went a single X-wing, and my son Ben and I were like, we were way into it. We knew it was coming.
Oh yeah.
Like a mom on Christmas morning. I was watching them, and it's kind of like
they're spoiling us. That's what they're doing now.
Yeah, right. I mean, look, we had Bo-Katan, Fennec Shand, Cara Dune, and Casca, the fourth member of that little crew, the other female Mandalorian, going on just an absolute tirade through the ship, taking people out left and right. We got the slow build-up of the Dark Troopers as just, how is anybody going to defeat more than one of these things?
That was close. The closest I come to the feeling when you first see Vader.
Yeah.
That kind of eerie feeling.
Yep. Genuine fear for your favorite characters. Are they going to make it out of this?
Yeah.
Gideon versus Mando. That was a heck of a fight.
Darth
Vader versus the Beskar Spear. Yeah. Luke Skywalker, though, we've been waiting to see that Luke Skywalker since Return of the Jedi went off the screens, right?
Yeah, I felt like we were cheated out of that Luke Skywalker when we finally did see him in the.
Where'd he go? What's he doing?
And he's drinking green milk from a sea cow. Come on.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that moment was like watching Darth Maul in Rebels when she tells him to create some chaos, and it's just like he's been restrained all this time, and he's just letting loose, and he's just, and then same thing with Luke Skywalker. He comes in and he's just like, I'm just gonna mop the floor with all y'all.
One thing I did notice, and towards the end of the episode, where little Grogu goes off with the stranger who he's just met, he didn't even get his name, didn't get a foreign address. He no way to find out where his kid is gone. I mean, he just basically said, "Here you go, Mister. Don't be a molester of my alien baby. Please take him and go somewhere, and I won't follow at all." I was shocked. At least get a name.
He didn't have to get a name. That was Luke.
He did give him his name, though. He told him he was Luke Skywalker.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anybody could say that. I mean, Bo-Katan could say I'm Luke Skywalker. Come on.
But Luke Skywalker said he was Luke Skywalker.
These
Luke
references
Skywalker
here. I
just
just
cut down an army of dark troopers and then said he was Luke Skywalker, I think.
You know what I've done for this kid? You know how much crap I've gone through for this kid? I mean,
See what happened.
But it was more than that. It was the look on Moff Gideon's face when he saw the green lightsaber.
Mm-hmm.
He knew that was Luke Skywalker.
Grogu chose to go with him.
Mm-hmm.
Because he saw R2D2. That's why.
And R2D2 was in this thing, for Pete's sake.
That's true.
Yes.
We're not going to have enough time to talk about everything about just the last episode. This is tragic. Kind of three scenes that definitely define those characters now. Darth Vader in Rogue One. We finally got to see Darth Vader at his peak, just going off. We got to see Darth Maul, like you mentioned, in Rebels, just going off at his peak. And now we got to see Luke Skywalker at his peak, going off. This is, once again, Dave Filoni redeeming bad Star Wars stories and turning them into good Star Wars stories. So, once again, thank you, Dave Filoni, for all that you do. Let's wrap this up with the post-credits sequence. Where we had Boba Fett and Fennec Shand rolling up into Jabba's palace.
And just set himself up.
Bye-bye, Bib Fortuna.
There was shock and like genuine joy that, hey, Bib Fortuna, he made a name for himself. He survived, and that's a character I recognize from Return of the Jedi. And then he's dead, just like that.
Yep.
It was very Game of Thrones.
It was a little Game of Thrones, wasn't it? So the rumor I'm hearing here, guys, is we're not going to get season 3 of The Mandalorian this year at all. Instead, we're going to get the Book of Boba Fett. So that'll premiere in December, and that will kind of take the place of The Mandalorian season 3 this year. And then maybe in 2022, we will get some more Mandalorian. That's disappointing, but it is what it is, I guess.
Disappointing, but I can deal with it because it's Boba Fett. It'll still be good.
All right, so we are woefully short on time here since we now do actually have time restrictions. Guys, it's been a pleasure to be back as World Class Nerd talking about science fiction in general and Star Wars in particular.
Oh, yes.
We will be back again next week with an update on The Expanse. So join us next week for an update on The Expanse. Danny is like, what is an expanse?
Oh, Danny, you're so sad.
Something I've got to catch up on because I haven't watched the latest season yet.
But that's the good thing is I can just marathon it now.
Yes.
If you would.
You've had the opportunity to do that for like a year now, Danny.
I've got a lot of things I'm watching.